Say it again. His voice cut through the room, low and steady. No one moved. The glass in Ava's hand trembled, just once, then stilled. She didn't repeat it. The chandeliers above flickered softly, casting broken light across polished marble. 50 people stood frozen. Suits. Watches. Eyes that refused to meet hers. But all of them heard what he said. Just one night, please. The words didn't belong in a room like this. Not from a man like him. Ava kept her gaze down for a second longer. Then she looked up. Calm. Direct. That's when the silence shifted. Something was off. Daniel Park didn't beg. He didn't ask. People adjusted themselves around him, not the other way around. Yet here he was, standing at the head of the table, hand resting flat against the dark wood, fingers slightly curled like he was holding onto something invisible. Ava noticed that. No one else did. A faint hum came from the walls. Air conditioning. Too cold. She could feel it along her arms. Her uniform sleeve brushed against her wrist as she set the glass down on a silver tray. No one touched their drinks. No one spoke. You're out of line, someone muttered under their breath. It didn't matter. Daniel didn't look away from her. Not once. That's when Ava felt it. Not fear. Pressure. Like the room was leaning in. Waiting for her to answer something no one else understood. She shifted her weight. Slow. Controlled. The tray didn't shake. Her voice, when it came, was quiet. Is that what you think I am? A few heads turned. Quick. Nervous. A woman near the window stiffened, lips parting, then closing again. Ava didn't break eye contact. Daniel's jaw tightened. Just slightly. The kind of movement most people would miss. But she didn't. Something behind his eyes flickered. Not anger. Not pride. Something thinner. Unstable. That's when she noticed his hand again. It wasn't still. Not completely. His thumb pressed once against the table. Then again. A rhythm. Offbeat. Like he was trying to ground himself. Ava's breath slowed. In. Out. The scent of polished wood and expensive cologne filled the air, heavy and clean. Too clean. Like it was covering something else. No one stepped in. Not security. Not the executives. Not even the woman standing closest to him. They were watching. Waiting. But not for him. For her. That didn't make sense. A man like Daniel Park didn't need permission. He took what he wanted. Everyone knew that. So why ask? Ava tilted her head just slightly. The movement was small. Barely visible. But it changed everything. Daniel exhaled. Slow. Controlled. But it wasn't steady. There was a break in it. A hesitation. That's when the air shifted again. A sound echoed faintly from somewhere deeper in the house. A door closing. Too hard. No one reacted. Except him. His eyes flicked, just for a second, toward the hallway behind the glass doors. Then back to her. Fast. Like he didn't want anyone to notice. But she did. Something wasn't right. Ava felt it settle in her chest. Quiet. Certain. This wasn't about power. Not really. She glanced at the others. They weren't confused. They were careful. That was different. One of the men near the end of the table adjusted his cufflinks twice. Another stared down at his untouched drink like it might give him instructions. No one challenged him. No one laughed. No one even breathed too loudly. Ava's fingers brushed the edge of the tray again. Cool metal. Grounding. She could leave. Walk out. No one would stop her. But she didn't move. Not yet. Daniel's voice came again. Lower this time. Closer to something real. Stay. Just one word. Not a command. Not quite a plea. Something in between. And that was the problem. Ava's heartbeat slowed instead of racing. That shouldn't happen. Not here. Not with him. The lights flickered once more. Barely noticeable. But enough. Enough to make the shadows shift across his face. For a split second, he didn't look powerful. He looked tired. Ava didn't understand that. Not yet. But she knew one thing. This wasn't the moment everyone thought it was. And whatever was coming next, wasn't going to stay inside this room. No one moved after he said it. Not even the guards by the door. Ava stood still, the tray balanced against her palm, her eyes locked on his. The word lingered in the air, heavier than it should have been. Stay. It was not a command. That was what made it dangerous. A faint vibration hummed through the floor. Subtle. Easy to miss. But Ava felt it through the thin soles of her shoes. Something deep in the building shifted. She glanced down for half a second. Then back at him. He had felt it too. His shoulders tightened just enough to notice. That was the second thing that did not make sense. Daniel Park did not react to anything. People reacted to him. A man near the far end cleared his throat softly, then stopped when no one acknowledged it. Another adjusted his tie again. Too many small movements. Too much silence. Ava stepped back half an inch. The tray dipped slightly, then steadied. No one told her to leave. No one dismissed her. That was new. Usually, she was invisible the moment the drinks were served. Now every eye in the room knew exactly where she stood. That was the problem. She was not supposed to matter here. Daniel's gaze did not break. It pinned her in place, but not with force. With something else. Something unfinished. You should go, the woman near the window said quietly, almost like a suggestion. But her voice did not carry authority. It carried caution. Ava did not move. Her fingers brushed the edge of the tray again. Cold metal. Real. Grounding. The air shifted once more. A distant sound echoed down the hallway. A door closing again. This time softer. But closer. Daniel's eyes flicked there again. Faster this time. Then back to her. That was the third time. Ava noticed patterns. It was how she survived places like this. Something was happening outside this room. Something he was not controlling. That was the first real crack. She inhaled slowly. The scent in the air changed. Less cologne. More, something electrical. Like heated wires. Or machines running too long. She had smelled it before in older buildings. Systems under stress. That thought settled quietly in her mind. Systems under stress. She looked at him again. Really looked this time. The perfect suit. The still posture. The measured breathing. But underneath it, something was slipping. His eyes were not scanning the room. They were holding on to her. Like she was the only stable thing left. That did not make sense. She was just staff. Just someone who passed through unnoticed. Unless he needed her to stay unnoticed. That thought came and stayed. Ava shifted her weight again. This time forward. A small step. Barely a movement. But it closed the distance between them by inches. No one stopped her. Not security. Not the executives. No one. That silence said more than words ever could. Daniel's hand lifted slightly from the table. Not fully. Just enough to break contact. His fingers flexed once. Then again. That rhythm returned. Off. Unsteady. He was not asking for control. He was holding on to something he was about to lose. Ava's chest tightened, not from fear, but from understanding. Not complete. Not yet. But enough to change the shape of the moment. She lowered the tray slowly onto the edge of the table. The soft click of metal against wood echoed louder than it should have. Every head turned for a split second. Then away again. No one wanted to own this moment. Ava stepped forward one more time. Close enough now to see the fine lines at the corner of his eyes. Close enough to hear his breathing shift. It was shallow. Controlled. But not steady. That was when she knew. This was not about what he said. It was about what he was not saying. A faint sound cut through the silence. Not loud. Not sharp. But wrong. Like something powering down too quickly. The lights flickered again. Longer this time. Shadows stretched across the walls. For a brief second, the room looked different. Smaller. Tighter. Like it was closing in. Ava did not look away. Neither did he. "If I stay," she said quietly, her voice even, "it will not be for what they think." No one reacted. But the tension shifted. Daniel's jaw loosened just a fraction. His shoulders dropped half an inch. Relief. Real. Unfiltered. That was the fourth thing that did not make sense. Ava felt it settle deeper now. This was not a transaction. This was a line being crossed. One that could not be undone. Another sound echoed from the hallway. Closer now. Footsteps. Fast. Then stopping abruptly. Right outside the door. No one spoke. No one moved. But everyone heard it. Ava's eyes flicked toward the glass doors. Just for a second. Then back to him. His expression changed. Not fear. Not exactly. But something close. Something urgent. And that was when she realized the door was about to open. The door opened without a sound. No knock. No warning. Just a slow shift of glass and steel. Every head turned at once. Ava did not. She kept her eyes on him. That was when his hand dropped from the table completely. A man stepped inside. Dark suit. No tie. His breath was uneven, like he had run but did not want anyone to know. He stopped just past the threshold. Did not speak. That silence was louder than anything else in the room. Ava felt it press against her chest. Something had changed. The man glanced at Daniel, then at the others, then back again. A message passed without words. It was not good. Daniel did not ask what happened. That was the first sign. He already knew. Ava caught that. His eyes did not leave hers. Not even now. Not when everything in the room had shifted toward the door. "Everyone out," Daniel said quietly. No raised voice. No force. But it landed hard. Chairs scraped softly against the floor. No one argued. No one delayed. They moved fast, but not in panic. Controlled. Trained. Like this had happened before. That was another detail Ava stored away. The woman by the window hesitated for half a second, then walked past Ava without looking at her. The scent of her perfume lingered for a moment, sharp and clean, then faded. The room emptied in seconds. Too fast. Too practiced. Ava did not move. Neither did Daniel. The man by the door stayed where he was. His hands were at his sides, but his fingers kept flexing. Not fear. Readiness. Ava noticed that too. The lights flickered again. Longer this time. A soft buzz followed, like something struggling to stay on. The air felt tighter. Warmer now. That did not match the cold from before. Systems shifting. Something was being rerouted. Ava did not understand how, but she felt it. The man finally spoke. Low. Controlled. We have a situation. He did not say more. He did not need to. Daniel's jaw set for a second, then eased. Not anger. Not surprise. Calculation. Ava watched the exchange. Every second of it. No one asked her to leave. That was the problem. She was not supposed to hear this. Unless he wanted her to. That thought settled deeper. Daniel stepped away from the table. Slow. Measured. His shoes made almost no sound on the marble floor. He moved closer to Ava instead of the door. That was wrong. Completely wrong. The man by the door shifted his weight. Just once. His eyes flicked toward Ava, then back to Daniel. Waiting for instruction. None came. Ava's heartbeat slowed again. That still did not make sense. It should have been racing. But it was not. She was too focused. Too aware. You can go, Daniel said softly, but he was not looking at her when he said it. His gaze was fixed somewhere just past her shoulder. Ava did not move. The words hung there. Empty. Not a dismissal. Not really. Another test. She understood that now. She tilted her head slightly. Studied him. The distance between them felt smaller, even though neither had stepped closer. If I leave, she said quietly, you lose something you asked for. The man by the door glanced at her sharply. That was the first real reaction from anyone else. Ava felt it. That meant she was right. Daniel's eyes returned to hers. Fully now. Focused. Clearer than before. For a brief moment, the room went completely still. No hum. No flicker. Nothing. Then the lights dimmed. Not off. Just lower. Like the building itself was holding its breath. Ava felt the shift in her skin. Tiny. Electric. Something bigger was moving through the walls. The man near the door took a step forward. Stopped. Waiting again. Daniel did not acknowledge him. Not yet. Ava noticed the faint sheen on Daniel's forehead. Barely visible under the soft light. He was not in control of everything. That was the truth settling in. And he knew it. It is not safe, the man said carefully, choosing each word. Ava caught that too. Not safe. Not dangerous. Not urgent. Different wording. Controlled. Intentional. Daniel exhaled slowly. This time, it was steady. More grounded. Like he had made a decision. His shoulders lowered just a fraction. The tension in his hands eased. He looked at Ava again. Not like before. Not asking. Not testing. Seeing. Really seeing. That changed everything. Ava felt it. A shift she could not explain, but could not ignore. The silence stretched. Thick. Heavy. The lights flickered one more time. Then steadied. For now. Ava did not step back. She did not reach for the tray. She stayed exactly where she was. That was her choice. And that was when the man by the door spoke again, quieter this time. They are closer than we expected. Ava did not look at the man when he said it. She watched Daniel instead. They are closer than we expected. The words landed softly, but they changed the air. Daniel did not react right away. That was the first signal. He was already ahead of it. His eyes stayed on Ava, steady now, clearer than before. The flicker was gone. Whatever decision he made, it had settled. Ava felt that shift like a drop in pressure before a storm. The man by the door took another step forward. Slow. Careful. Like he did not want to interrupt something fragile. That told her everything. Whatever was happening outside this room, it mattered less than what was happening inside it. That did not make sense. Not for a man like Daniel Park. Ava's fingers brushed lightly against the edge of the table. The metal tray was still there, cool and untouched. She did not pick it up. That choice felt heavier now. The lights above dimmed again, just a fraction. The shadows moved across Daniel's face. For a second, it softened him. Not weaker. Just, human. That was new. Ava noticed the way his breathing changed. Slower now. Measured. Like he was choosing each second instead of reacting to it. That was not fear. That was control returning. But not the same kind he had before. How close? Daniel asked. His voice was low. Even. It did not carry across the room. It did not need to. The man answered without hesitation. Inside the perimeter. Ava felt that word settle. Perimeter. Not building. Not room. Something larger. Structured. Planned. This was not sudden. This had been coming. She looked at Daniel again. He did not look surprised. That was the second signal. He had expected this. Maybe not now. But soon. Ava's heartbeat slowed again. That calm returned. It did not belong in a moment like this. But it stayed. Time? Daniel asked. The man hesitated. Just for a fraction of a second. Then, minutes. Ava caught the hesitation. That was the third signal. The estimate was not certain. Things were moving faster than they thought. The air felt warmer now. The hum in the walls returned, softer but constant. Like something deeper in the building had switched over. Backup systems. Containment. Ava did not know the words for it, but she recognized the pattern. Something was closing in. Daniel stepped closer to her. Not toward the door. Not toward the man. Toward her. That was still wrong. Every instinct in the room said he should be moving the other way. Ava did not step back. She held her ground. The distance between them narrowed to less than a foot. Close enough to hear the shift in his breath. Close enough to see the faint tension at the corner of his eyes. Not panic. Not anymore. Focus. You should not be here, the man said, this time directed at Ava. His tone was careful. Not aggressive. Not dismissive. Like he was trying to correct something without breaking it. Ava did not look at him. I was told to go, she said quietly. But not to leave. The difference hung in the air. The man's jaw tightened. Just slightly. He understood it. Daniel did not interrupt. That was the fourth signal. He was letting her define the moment now. Ava felt the weight of that. It settled deep. He was not asking for control anymore. He was choosing to give some of it away. That changed everything. Another faint sound echoed from the hallway. Closer now. Not footsteps this time. Something mechanical. Doors locking. Systems sealing. Ava's eyes flicked toward the glass doors again. Just for a second. Then back to him. Daniel's gaze followed hers this time. Not away. With her. That was new. For the first time, they were looking at the same thing. The same direction. The same problem. Ava felt a quiet realization form. He did not need someone to fix this. He needed someone to stay while he faced it. That was the truth behind the words he said earlier. It was never about anything else. The lights flickered once more. Then steadied again. The room held. For now. The man by the door stepped closer again. More urgency this time. We need to move, he said. Daniel did not respond immediately. His eyes stayed on Ava. Waiting. Not commanding. Waiting. Ava felt the pull of that moment. Two directions. Leave. Or stay. One was safer. One was unknown. Her hand hovered for a second near the tray. Then dropped. She made her choice without saying it. Daniel saw it. Something in his expression shifted. Not relief. Not exactly. Something quieter. Something heavier. Recognition. He nodded once. Small. Almost invisible. Then he turned toward the door for the first time. The man stepped aside instantly. Ready to lead. Ready to act. But Daniel did not move yet. He paused. Just for a second. Long enough to look back at Ava. Long enough to confirm what had just changed between them. And that was when the hallway lights outside went completely dark. The hallway lights died all at once. Not a flicker. Not a fade. Just gone. Darkness pressed against the glass like it had weight. Ava did not flinch. She watched Daniel instead. He did not look surprised. That was the first thing she noticed. The man by the door stepped forward quickly, then stopped. He did not cross the threshold. That hesitation mattered. It meant something beyond the door had changed. Something they did not fully control anymore. Ava felt the air shift again. Warmer now. Still. Too still. The hum inside the walls dropped to a lower tone. Like the building was holding its breath. Daniel moved first. One step toward the door. Then another. Slow. Measured. Not rushed. That told her everything. Panic would have been faster. This was calculated. He reached the edge of the glass. Stopped. Looked out into the dark hallway. Ava could not see much. Only shadows layered over more shadows. But she heard something. A faint metallic sound. Distant. Then gone. Daniel's shoulders tightened for a fraction of a second. Then eased again. He had heard it too. The man behind him spoke, quieter now. Backup system should have engaged. Should have. Not did. Ava caught that. That meant uncertainty. That meant something was not responding the way it was designed to. Daniel did not answer. His hand lifted toward the glass panel. Not touching it. Hovering. Like he was waiting for something to respond. It did not. That silence stretched longer than it should have. Ava stepped closer. Not beside him. Just enough to see past his shoulder. The hallway was darker than it should have been. Emergency lights should have come on. They had not. That was wrong. Completely wrong. Ava felt a quiet tension settle in her chest. Not fear. Awareness. Systems under stress again. The same pattern. The man behind them shifted his stance. Ready. Always ready. But still waiting for direction. That was the second thing that did not make sense. Daniel was not giving it yet. He turned slightly. Not away from the door. Just enough to look at Ava again. That look was different now. Not searching. Not testing. Confirming. Like he needed to see if she was still there. She was. Ava did not speak. She did not step back. She held that space. The darkness outside deepened. Then, for a split second, something moved. Not clear. Not defined. Just a shift in the shadows. Ava's eyes narrowed slightly. She did not blink. It could have been nothing. But it was not nothing. Daniel saw it too. His hand dropped from the panel. That was the third signal. He had made another decision. "We do not go that way," he said quietly. The man behind him nodded once. Immediate. No hesitation. Ava felt the direction change before they moved. The room behind them suddenly felt smaller. Tighter. Like it was closing in. The air grew warmer again. The hum shifted pitch. Lower. Slower. Something was powering down in sections. Ava turned her head slightly. Listening. There it was again. A distant sound. Not mechanical this time. Softer. Like movement across fabric. Then gone. Her fingers tightened briefly at her side. Then relaxed. She did not understand it yet. But it stayed with her. Daniel stepped back from the door. One step. Then another. He did not rush. He did not turn his back fully to the hallway. He kept part of his attention there. Always. That was instinct. Ava followed his movement with her eyes. Not her body. Not yet. He stopped near the center of the room again. The table. The tray. Everything exactly where it had been. But it felt different now. Like a place that had already been left behind. The man moved closer to Daniel's side. Lowering his voice even more. "There is another route." Daniel did not look at him. "There is always another route," he said. Calm. Certain. But Ava heard something under it. Not doubt. Not fear. Something heavier. Like he was calculating costs no one else could see. Ava stepped forward then. One small step. Enough to close the space again. Daniel glanced at her. Just once. That was enough. "If we stay here," she said quietly, "we are waiting for something we do not understand." The man looked at her again. Sharper this time. But he did not interrupt. Daniel held her gaze. Long enough for the silence to settle. Long enough for the weight of her words to land. Then he nodded. Once. Small. Final. That was the decision. The man turned immediately, moving toward a side panel Ava had not noticed before. Seamless. Hidden in the wall. He pressed something near the edge. Nothing happened. He tried again. Slower. Still nothing. That pause was louder than any alarm. Ava felt it. Systems failing in layers. Not all at once. One by one. The man's jaw tightened. For the first time, something close to urgency broke through his control. "It should open," he said. Daniel did not step forward to help. He stayed where he was. Watching. Listening. Choosing. Ava shifted her weight slightly. Her eyes moved across the wall. The panel. The edges. The faint lines where things met. That was when she noticed it. A subtle difference in the surface. Barely visible. But real. She stepped closer to the wall. Not touching it yet. Just looking. Something about it did not match the rest of the room. And that was when she realized the panel was not where they thought it was. Ava did not touch the wall right away. She just stood there, eyes tracing the surface slowly. The man pressed the panel again, harder this time. Still nothing. A faint click echoed inside the wall, then died. That was not a good sign. Ava leaned in slightly. The material looked the same as the rest of the wall. Smooth. Polished. Perfect. But the reflection was wrong. The light caught it differently. Softer. Less sharp. Like something underneath was not aligned. She lifted her hand. Paused. Then placed her fingers lightly against the surface. It felt warmer than the rest of the wall. Not by much. But enough. Ava pressed gently. Nothing moved. She shifted her hand 2 inches to the left. Pressed again. A faint vibration answered her touch. Not mechanical. Subtle. Like a pulse. That was it. Her eyes narrowed. Not here, she said quietly. The man stopped. Turned toward her. For a split second, he looked like he was about to object. Then he didn't. Daniel did not move. He watched. That was the only permission she needed. Ava stepped sideways. Slow. Measured. Her fingers trailing along the wall. Feeling for the difference. The vibration came and went. Faint. Almost gone. Then stronger again. She followed it. 3 inches. 4. Then she stopped. Pressed again. This time, the wall responded. A soft shift. Almost silent. But real. The man stepped closer instantly. His hand hovered near hers, but he did not push her aside. That meant he trusted what he was seeing. Or he had no better option. Ava did not look at him. She pressed again, firmer. The panel released with a quiet click. A thin line appeared. Vertical. Barely visible. The man exhaled once. Controlled. Daniel moved then. 1 step forward. Close enough to see the opening clearly. He did not reach for it yet. He waited. Ava felt that pause. He was letting her finish what she started. That mattered. She slid her fingers along the edge of the line. Found the seam. Pulled gently. The panel shifted inward. Slow. Smooth. Silent. A narrow passage revealed itself behind the wall. Dark. No light inside. No visible end. Just space. Ava stepped back half a step. Not out of fear. Out of awareness. The air inside the passage was cooler. Still. Unmoving. That was different from the room behind her. The man leaned forward slightly. Peered into the opening. His shoulders tightened. Not from fear. From calculation. He was measuring distance. Risk. Unknown variables. Daniel stepped beside Ava now. Close. Not touching. But near enough to feel the change in temperature between them. He looked into the passage. Then at her. Just for a second. That look carried weight. Recognition. Again. Ava felt it settle. She had shifted something. Not just the wall. The dynamic. The control in the room. It was not his alone anymore. That was dangerous. But also necessary. A faint sound echoed from the hallway behind them. Louder this time. Not clear. But closer. Ava turned her head slightly. Listened. The sound lingered longer than before. Then stopped. The silence after it felt heavier. Like something had moved closer and chosen to wait. Daniel noticed it too. His posture shifted. Subtle. Ready. We move, he said quietly. The man nodded. Immediate. He reached toward the opening. Stopped. Looked at Daniel. Waiting again. Always waiting for the final call. Daniel did not step forward first. That was new. He looked at Ava. Not asking. Not commanding. Just looking. Ava understood. She turned toward the passage. Took one step forward. The darkness inside did not change. It did not react to her presence. That was not comforting. She paused at the edge. The floor inside looked the same as the room. But the sound was different. She tapped her foot lightly. A duller echo answered. Hollow underneath. That meant layers. Structure. Depth. She stepped in fully. The temperature dropped a few degrees instantly. Cooler air brushed against her skin. Still no light. The man moved in behind her. Close enough to act. Not close enough to crowd her. Daniel followed last. The panel behind them began to close automatically. Slow. Quiet. Ava did not turn around. But she felt it. The shift in air. The seal. The room behind them disappeared without a sound. Complete. Final. The darkness settled deeper around them. Not total. A faint line of dim light traced along the floor. Barely visible. But enough to guide movement. Ava noticed it immediately. It had not been there before. That meant the system was still responding. Just differently. She followed the line with her eyes. It curved slightly ahead. Disappeared into the dark. The man exhaled slowly. This was not active before, he said. Daniel did not answer. Ava took another step forward. Careful. Listening. The floor held steady beneath her. No shift. No vibration. But something else was there. A faint sound. Not from behind. Not from ahead. Around them. Like air moving through narrow spaces. Controlled. Directed. Ava slowed. Tilted her head slightly. Focused. The sound changed as she moved. That meant something inside the passage was reacting to motion. That was new. She stopped completely. The sound stopped with her. Silence returned. Perfect. Clean. Ava did not look back. She did not need to. She already knew. This passage was not just an exit. And that was when she realized they were not the only ones using it. Ava did not move for a few seconds after the sound stopped. She let the silence settle. It felt too clean. Too perfect. That was the first warning. Real silence always carried something underneath. This did not. She shifted her weight slightly. The faint line of light along the floor flickered once, then steadied. That reaction was not random. The passage was watching them. Or responding to them. Ava took one slow step forward. The sound returned immediately. Soft. Controlled. Like air being redirected through narrow vents. She stopped again. The sound stopped with her. That confirmed it. Movement triggered it. Daniel noticed it too. She could feel his attention sharpen behind her. He did not speak. That restraint mattered. The man behind them adjusted his stance. His shoes brushed lightly against the floor. A quiet scrape. The sound echoed farther than it should have. The walls were closer than they looked. Ava reached out slowly. Her fingers hovered near the surface. Then touched. Smooth. Cold. But not static. There was a faint vibration again. Not the same as before. This one pulsed in intervals. Like a signal being sent. Or received. Ava pulled her hand back. That was not just structure. That was system. It reacts to motion, she said quietly. Daniel answered just as softly. Then we control the motion. Ava nodded once. Small. Focused. She took another step forward. Slower this time. Measured. The sound returned, but softer. Less reactive. That was progress. She adjusted her pace. The sound shifted again. Lower. Smoother. The system was learning their rhythm. Or adapting to it. Ava felt that realization settle deep. This passage was not passive. It was active. It was adjusting. The faint line of light curved ahead again. Leading them deeper. Ava followed it. Careful. Listening. The air changed as they moved. Cooler in some sections. Warmer in others. Subtle shifts. Like different zones. Daniel stayed close behind her. Not crowding. Not directing. Just present. That was different from before. He was not leading this. Not completely. The man followed last. His steps were heavier. Less controlled. The sound reacted more to him. Louder. Sharper. Ava noticed that immediately. Lighter, she said without turning. The man adjusted. His steps softened. The sound eased. That told her everything. The system responded to weight as well as motion. Layers of detection. That meant this place was built for precision. Not escape. Control. Ava slowed again. The line of light dimmed slightly ahead. That was new. She stopped. The light steadied. She took one step closer. It dimmed again. Not random. A pattern. Ava crouched slightly. Brought her hand closer to the floor. The light pulsed faintly beneath her fingers. Responding. She moved her hand forward. The light followed. That confirmed it. It was guiding. But also measuring. She stood again. Looked ahead. The darkness seemed thicker there. Not just lack of light. Density. Something was different beyond that point. Daniel leaned in slightly. What is it? He asked. Ava did not answer right away. She listened instead. Focused. There it was again. That faint movement. Not behind. Not in front. Around them. But now, slightly ahead. She turned her head just enough to track it. The sound shifted. Moved. Then stopped. Not gone. Just waiting. Ava felt her chest tighten slightly. Not fear. Recognition. They were not alone in this passage. Not anymore. The man behind them stepped closer. Too close. The sound reacted instantly. Sharper. Louder. Ava raised her hand slightly. Without looking back. He stopped. The sound eased again. Control returned. That was important. Ava took another step forward. The light dimmed further. Almost gone now. Only a faint trace remained. Enough to see the outline of the path. Barely. The air grew cooler. Noticeably this time. A chill brushed across her skin. The kind that came from enclosed spaces. Deep inside structures. Ava slowed her breathing. Matched her steps to the rhythm of the sound. Kept it steady. The system responded. The noise softened. Smoothed out. Almost disappeared. That was the key. Daniel stayed in sync with her. His steps matched hers exactly. The man behind took a moment longer. Then adjusted. The sound stabilized. Ava felt a strange calm settle again. This was no longer random. It was controlled. Manageable. Until it was not. She took one more step forward. The light vanished completely. Total darkness ahead. Only the memory of the path remained. Ava paused. Just for a second. Listening. The sound returned again. But different this time. Not reacting to them. Responding to something else. Something ahead. Something moving toward them. Ava did not step back. She did not speak. She simply stood there. Listening to the shift in the air. And that was when a second faint line of light appeared, coming from the opposite direction. The second line of light did not flicker. It moved. Slow. Steady. Coming toward them. Ava did not breathe for a second. Then she exhaled, controlled, quiet. Her eyes locked on the faint glow ahead. It was thinner than theirs. Sharper. Like a blade cutting through the dark. That was not the system responding. That was something using it. Daniel shifted behind her. Just enough for her to feel it. Not forward. Not back. Ready. The man behind them froze completely. No movement. No sound. Even his breathing slowed. That mattered. They all felt it now. Ava tilted her head slightly. Listening. The air changed again. The soft hum returned, but it was layered now. Two rhythms. One responding to them. One coming from ahead. That difference was clear. Ava stepped half an inch to the side. Testing. Their line of light pulsed faintly beneath her feet. The second line did not react. It kept coming. That meant it was not triggered by her. It was controlled. Intentional. Ava felt a quiet realization settle. Someone else knew this system too. She took one slow step back. The light beneath her followed. Smooth. Predictable. The second light paused. Just for a fraction of a second. Then moved again. That pause mattered. It meant they had been noticed. Daniel spoke, barely above a whisper. Do not break the rhythm. Ava nodded once. She did not look at him. Her focus stayed ahead. She adjusted her pace again. Slow. Even. The hum beneath their feet softened. Stabilized. The second line of light dimmed slightly. Not gone. Just, cautious. Ava noticed that. Whoever was ahead was adjusting too. That meant this was not a simple system. It was a shared space. A controlled environment. Ava took another step. The darkness between them shrank. Not much. But enough to feel the difference. The air grew colder. Sharper. Like the space itself was narrowing. She raised her hand slightly. Not to touch. Just to feel. A faint current brushed past her fingertips. Directional. Moving toward them. Ava's chest tightened slightly. Not fear. Focus. Something was guiding the airflow. Or controlling it. She lowered her hand. Continued forward. The second line of light slowed again. Matching her pace. That was not coincidence. That was communication. Daniel caught it too. She felt it in the way his steps aligned perfectly with hers. Not leading. Not lagging. In sync. The man behind adjusted again. Quieter now. More precise. The hum stabilized fully. Ava listened carefully. There was another sound now. Faint. Almost hidden beneath the rest. A soft shift. Like fabric brushing against a surface. Not from them. From ahead. Ava's eyes narrowed. The distance closed again. The second line grew brighter for a second. Then dimmed. A signal. Ava stopped completely. The hum beneath her feet stopped instantly. Silence returned. Clean. Controlled. The second line stopped too. Perfect alignment. No movement. No sound. Just 2 points in the dark. Facing each other. Ava felt the weight of that moment press in. Whoever was ahead was waiting. Just like they were. She shifted her weight slightly. Not a step. Just enough to test the air. The faint current changed direction. Subtle. But real. It was reading her. Mapping her position. Ava did not move again. She understood now. This passage was not just reacting to motion. It was interpreting it. Daniel's voice came again. Softer than before. We do not know what they see. Ava answered just as quietly. But they know we are here. The truth settled between them. No tension. Just clarity. The second line of light flickered once. Not like before. This time it broke slightly. Split for a fraction of a second. Then reformed. Ava caught it immediately. That was not system behavior. That was human error. Or hesitation. Someone ahead had misstepped. That was the first real weakness. Ava took one slow step forward. The hum beneath her feet resumed, but softer than before. Controlled. The second line reacted. It dimmed. Then brightened again. Unsteady. Ava felt it. Whoever was ahead was adjusting too fast now. Losing precision. She stepped again. Slightly faster this time. The hum sharpened. But she kept it steady. Balanced. The second line wavered. Just a fraction. That was enough. Ava's breath slowed. Her focus sharpened. She understood the pattern now. This was not just a passage. It was a test. A balance between movement and control. Whoever lost that balance first would be exposed. Daniel stayed perfectly in sync behind her. No hesitation. No correction needed. The man behind held his position. Matching them exactly. The space between the two lines of light closed further. Just a few feet now. Close enough to feel the difference in air pressure. Close enough to sense presence beyond the light. Ava could almost see it. Not clearly. Just an outline. A shift in the dark. Someone standing there. Waiting. Watching. The second line flickered again. Longer this time. Ava did not stop. She took one more step forward. And that was when the other line suddenly split into 2-inch. The line did not just split. It divided cleanly into two separate paths, each moving with its own rhythm. Ava stopped instantly. Not a full stop. A controlled pause. The hum beneath her feet softened, holding steady instead of cutting out. That was important. The system was still reading her as stable. The two lines ahead drifted apart by inches. Then held their positions. Not random. Deliberate. Ava felt the shift in the air. It widened slightly, as if the space itself had opened. That meant choice. Or a trap. Daniel adjusted. Behind her. Just enough for her to sense it. Not forward. Not back. Aligning. He had seen it too. Two paths. Two signals. The man behind them tightened his stance. Ava could hear the faint shift of fabric again. Controlled, but present. No one spoke. Not yet. Ava leaned her head slightly to the left. Focused on the first line. It pulsed once. Soft. Even. Predictable. Then she turned slightly to the right. The second line pulsed differently. Sharper. Less stable. A variation in pattern. Ava's chest tightened. Not fear. Recognition. These were not identical signals. They were choices with different outcomes. She did not step yet. She listened. Beneath the hum, beneath the airflow, there was another layer now. Faint. Almost hidden. A slight delay in the right path's response. Just milliseconds. But enough. Ava noticed it. That delay meant something. Not system delay. Human delay. The right path was being controlled. Adjusted. Reacted to. The left path felt cleaner. More direct. But that did not make it safe. Ava exhaled slowly. Her breath steady. She lifted her foot slightly. Paused. Tested the space without committing. The left line brightened just a fraction. The right line flickered. That was her answer. She lowered her foot. Did not step forward yet. Left, she whispered. Daniel did not question it. That was the first time he accepted direction without hesitation. The man behind shifted slightly. Adjusting his angle. Preparing to follow. Ava took one step to the left. Smooth. Controlled. The hum beneath her feet responded instantly. Softer. More stable. The right path dimmed slightly. Not disappearing. But losing focus. That meant it was no longer the primary path. Ava felt the system recalibrate. The air shifted again. Cooler on the left side. Warmer on the right. A subtle division. She moved again. Another step. The left line guided her forward. Clean. Predictable. The right line flickered again. Stronger this time. Trying to regain attention. Ava ignored it. That was important. She did not react to the distraction. Daniel stayed perfectly in sync. No hesitation. No correction. The man behind followed more carefully. His steps lighter now. Controlled. The hum remained stable. Ava listened carefully. The faint sound ahead returned. Not one source now. Two. One aligned with the left path. One lingering on the right. The right one felt closer. More active. That confirmed it. Someone had taken that path. Or was still there. Ava felt a quiet tension settle. They had chosen separation. That meant whoever was ahead had split as well. Or forced the split. The space narrowed again. The darkness shifted. The left path curved slightly. The light beneath her feet adjusted with it. Smooth. Responsive. Ava followed without hesitation. Her steps matched the rhythm perfectly now. The system accepted her movement fully. That was the first moment of true alignment. The hum softened to almost nothing. Silence returned, but not empty this time. Controlled. Balanced. Ava exhaled slowly. The air ahead felt clearer. Less dense. But not safe. Never safe. Daniel's presence behind her remained steady. Grounded. He was no longer testing the space. He was trusting her read of it. That was a shift she did not ignore. The man behind adjusted again. A slight misstep. Barely noticeable. But enough. The hum reacted instantly. Sharper. Ava raised her hand slightly. Without turning. He corrected immediately. The sound eased. Control restored. That moment mattered. One mistake could still expose them. Ava slowed slightly. Just enough to re-establish rhythm. The system followed. Responsive. Adaptive. The left path brightened faintly ahead. Not much. But enough to reveal a shape in the dark. A structure. Not a wall. Not a door. Something else. Ava narrowed her eyes. Focused. The outline became clearer as she approached. A vertical surface. Smooth. Seamless. Different from before. The light pooled faintly at its base. Not guiding forward. Stopping. Ava slowed to a near stop. The hum beneath her feet softened again. Holding steady. Waiting. Daniel leaned slightly closer. "What is it?" he asked quietly. Ava did not answer right away. She listened first. The faint sound from the right path had not disappeared. It had moved. Closer. Paralleling them. That meant whoever had taken the other path was still tracking them. Matching their pace. That realization settled deep. Ava stepped closer to the surface. Raised her hand slowly. Not touching yet. The air around it felt different. Still. Sealed. Like it was waiting for something specific. She glanced down briefly. The light beneath her feet pulsed once. Then twice. A pattern. Ava understood immediately. This was not an obstacle. It was a checkpoint. And that was when the surface in front of her began to respond to her presence. The surface did not open. It shifted. Slow. Controlled. Like it was breathing. Ava kept her hand just inches away. She did not touch it yet. The faint light at her feet pulsed again. Once. Then twice. Same pattern. Not random. The surface responded to it. A soft glow spread across the vertical plane. Not bright. Just enough to outline its edges. Seamless. No handle. No visible mechanism. That meant it was reading something else. Ava lowered her gaze for a second. The light beneath her feet was no longer a line. It had widened slightly. Forming a shape. Subtle. But clear. A position marker. She adjusted her stance. Half an inch forward. The glow on the surface intensified slightly. That was the key. Alignment. Not force. Not touch. Position. Ava stilled completely. The hum beneath her feet faded into near silence. The air around the surface shifted. Cooler. Denser. Like the space itself was focusing. Daniel stepped closer behind her. Not interrupting. Not guiding. Just present. That mattered. The system had already recognized her as the primary input. He did not break that. The man behind held position. Still. Quiet. For once, perfectly controlled. Ava felt the surface respond again. A faint ripple passed through it. Not visible at first. Then clearer. Like a reflection moving across water. The glow shifted upward. From the base toward her hand. Pausing just below her fingertips. Waiting. Ava understood. Slowly, she lifted her hand. Not fast. Not hesitant. Measured. Her fingers hovered closer. The air between them felt charged. Not static. Directed. She moved 1 inch closer. The glow followed. Matching her pace. Another inch. The surface pulsed once. Stronger. Ava stopped. The system stopped with her. Perfect synchronization. That was it. This was not a door. It was a scan. Not of identity. Of control. Of movement. Of intent. Ava's breathing slowed. She steadied her hand. Then placed her fingertips lightly against the surface. No resistance. No push. Just contact. The glow expanded instantly, spreading across the entire panel. Smooth. Silent. The ripple deepened. For a moment, the surface became almost transparent. Not fully. Just enough to hint at space beyond. Ava did not pull back. She held her position. The hum beneath her feet returned. But softer. Harmonized. The system had accepted her input. The panel began to separate. Not opening outward. Sliding inward. Seamless. Quiet. A narrow opening appeared. Dark beyond. No immediate light. No clear path. Just space. Ava withdrew her hand slowly. The glow dimmed but did not disappear. The opening held. Stable. Daniel exhaled once behind her. Controlled. That was not designed for us, he said quietly. Ava did not turn. It is designed for someone who knows how to listen, she replied. The words settled between them. No tension. Just clarity. The man behind shifted slightly. Not forward. Not yet. Waiting again. Always waiting for the final movement. Ava took a small step closer to the opening. The air beyond was different. Colder. Still. But not empty. There was a faint current. Moving inward. Drawing them in. That was new. She tilted her head slightly. Listening. The sound from the right path had not disappeared. It had moved closer again. Parallel. Matching them. That meant whoever had taken that route had reached their own checkpoint. And passed it. Ava felt that realization settle deep. This was not just a system. It was a sequence. Multiple paths. Multiple entries. Converging somewhere ahead. She glanced briefly at the edge of the opening. The surface remained stable. No flicker. No resistance. That meant the system was not blocking them. It was guiding them forward. Daniel stepped closer. Just enough to stand beside her now. Not behind. That shift mattered. They were no longer following a single lead. They were moving together. Ava did not comment on it. She stepped into the opening. One foot. Then the other. The floor inside felt different. Slightly softer. Not unstable. Just layered. Engineered. The air closed around her. Cooler. Denser. The faint light from behind traced the edge of the opening, then dimmed further. Daniel followed immediately. The man behind entered last. The panel began to close behind them. Slow. Silent. Final. Ava did not look back. She focused forward. The darkness ahead was not complete. A faint glow existed deeper inside. Not from the floor this time. From the walls. Soft. Diffused. Guiding but not revealing. Ava took another step forward. The space opened slightly. Wider than the passage before. The air felt different here. Less reactive. More stable. But not empty. The faint sound returned again. Not just one source now. Multiple. Subtle. Layered. Ava slowed. Listening carefully. The rhythm was different. Not responding to her movement. Independent. That meant one thing. They had entered a shared space. She stopped. The glow on the walls pulsed once. Then steadied. Ava felt the presence ahead. Not one. Not two. More. And that was when a voice, low and calm, echoed softly from somewhere in the dark. The voice did not echo the way it should have. It did not bounce. It settled. Like it belonged to the space itself. Ava did not move. Her eyes stayed forward, adjusting to the faint glow along the walls. The shapes ahead were still unclear. Just outlines. Just presence. But the voice had direction. Not from above. Not from behind. Straight ahead. That mattered. Daniel stepped half an inch closer to her side. Not in front. Not behind. Equal. That shift held weight. The man behind them stayed perfectly still. No sound. No movement. For once, completely aligned. Ava tilted her head slightly. Listening beyond the voice. There were other sounds now. Subtle. Breathing. More than one. Controlled. Quiet. Not hiding. Just, waiting. The glow along the walls pulsed once. Then again. Slower than before. A new rhythm. Ava felt it in her chest. Not fear. Recognition. This space was not reacting anymore. It was observing. You are not meant to be here, the voice said again. Calm. Measured. No threat. That was the first detail Ava noticed. It was not trying to stop them. It was stating a fact. Ava did not answer immediately. She took one slow step forward. The floor beneath her shifted slightly in tone. Not unstable. Just acknowledging her movement. The glow along the walls followed. Expanding just enough to reveal more of the space. Shapes began to form. Figures. Still. Standing at equal distance from each other. Not surrounding. Not closing in. Positioned. That meant structure. Not chaos. Ava's eyes adjusted further. She could make out silhouettes now. 3. Maybe 4. All still. All facing her. Daniel did not speak. He let her move first. That was the second shift. He was no longer controlling the room. He was trusting her read of it completely. Ava felt that weight. It did not slow her. It sharpened her focus. We were guided here, she said quietly. Her voice did not echo either. It settled the same way the other voice had. That meant the space was absorbing sound. Controlling it. The figure ahead shifted slightly. Not stepping. Just adjusting posture. A response. Not aggressive. Not welcoming. Acknowledging. Guided is not the same as allowed, the voice replied. Ava caught the difference. Words mattered here. Precision mattered. She took another step forward. Slow. Measured. The glow widened again. More detail. The figures were not identical. Different heights. Different stances. But all controlled. All aware. Ava's breathing remained steady. She did not rush. She did not hesitate. She matched the rhythm of the space. That was the only way forward. Daniel's presence beside her stayed constant. Grounded. No interruption. The man behind remained silent. For once, completely following without correction. Ava stopped again. Just outside the full reach of the light. Enough to see them. Not enough to fully reveal herself. Balance. That was the key. The voice spoke again. Slightly closer now. You passed the path. Not a question. A statement. Ava nodded once. Small. Intentional. We listened, she said. The space held that answer. No immediate response. The figures did not move. But the air shifted. Subtle. Like something had been accepted. Or at least not rejected. Ava noticed a detail then. The glow along the walls was no longer uniform. It was reacting to each figure differently. Slight variations in brightness. In timing. That meant each presence affected the system in its own way. Individual influence. That was important. She stored it. Daniel shifted slightly beside her. Just enough to signal awareness. He saw it too. Ava felt a quiet realization form. This was not a single control point. It was a shared one. Multiple inputs. Multiple paths. Converging here. The voice spoke again. Why did you not turn back? Ava did not answer immediately. She let the question settle. Felt the weight behind it. This was not about curiosity. It was about intent. She glanced briefly at Daniel. Just for a second. Then back ahead. Because leaving would not change what is coming, she said. The silence that followed was different. Heavier. More focused. The figures did not shift. But the glow along the walls pulsed once. Stronger. Ava felt it in her chest again. Like the space itself was evaluating her answer. Not judging. Measuring. The faint sound from the other path returned. Closer now. Not hidden anymore. Another presence. Approaching from the right side. Parallel. Ava did not turn. She did not break focus. But she heard it. The figures ahead heard it too. One of them shifted slightly. The first clear movement. Controlled. Minimal. But real. The voice spoke again. Lower this time. You were not the only ones guided here. Ava felt that truth settle instantly. This was not just a crossing point. It was a convergence. Multiple paths. Multiple arrivals. Multiple intentions. She took one slow breath. The air felt different now. Thicker. Charged. The glow along the walls adjusted again. Expanding further. Revealing more of the space. The figures became clearer. Still not fully visible. But closer. More defined. Ava held her position. She did not step forward. Not yet. She understood now. This was not the end of the path. This was where paths met. And that was when the presence from the right finally stepped into the light. The figure from the right did not rush into the light. It stepped forward slowly, measured, as if it already understood the rules of the space. Ava did not turn her body. Only her eyes shifted. Just enough to catch the movement. The glow along the walls adjusted instantly, stretching toward the new arrival, balancing the light between both sides. That meant the system recognized it equally. Not intruder. Not outsider. Another participant. Ava felt the air tighten slightly. Not hostile. Just aware. The figure stopped at the edge of the light. Still not fully revealed. But closer than before. The outline was clearer now. Shoulders squared. Head level. Controlled posture. Someone who knew how to move in places like this. Ava noticed the difference immediately. This was not hesitation. This was precision. Daniel shifted beside her, just a fraction. Not toward the figure. Not away. Aligning again. That balance held. No one stepped forward. No one stepped back. The space between them remained intact. The voice from ahead did not speak this time. That silence mattered more than words. It was waiting. For something else. Ava listened. Beneath the stillness, she caught a faint difference in breathing patterns. The new presence was not matching the room's rhythm. It was slightly off. Not by much. But enough. That meant one thing. They had not adapted fully to the system. Ava stored that quietly. The figure took another step. The light followed. More of the outline revealed. A hand. Relaxed. Not raised. Not hidden. Visible. That was deliberate. A signal. Not aggression. Not submission. Neutral control. Ava did not respond. She held her position. The glow along the walls pulsed again. Slower now. As if stretching the moment. Testing reactions. The figure spoke. The voice was different. Not the same as before. Lower. Sharper. You chose left. Not a question. A statement. Ava did not answer immediately. She let the words settle. Felt the intention behind them. This was not curiosity. This was assessment. She tilted her head slightly. You chose right, she replied. The air shifted again. Subtle. The figure did not move. But something in the posture changed. A slight adjustment. Recognition. That exchange mattered. It established parity. Not dominance. Not submission. Equal ground. Daniel remained silent. That was the third shift. He was no longer the center of the room. The structure had changed. Ava felt it clearly now. The system, the space, the people inside it. All responding to balance, not power. The first voice returned. Calm. Measured. Different paths. Same point. Ava nodded once. Small. Intentional. She took one slow step forward. The glow expanded again. The figures ahead became clearer. Not fully visible. But enough to distinguish positions. The new arrival remained slightly to the right. Offset. Not merging into the group. That meant separation. Independent path. Independent purpose. Ava's breathing stayed even. She did not rush. She did not hesitate. She matched the rhythm of the room. That was the only way forward. The new figure shifted again. This time, a fraction faster. The glow reacted. Flickered briefly around them. Ava caught it instantly. The system had responded to imbalance. That was the weakness. The figure corrected immediately. Slowed. Recentered. The glow stabilized. Ava saw it clearly now. This space did not respond to force. It responded to control. Whoever lost that control would lose position. She stepped forward again. The distance closed further. Now close enough to see more detail. The outline sharpened. The figure's head turned slightly toward her. Not fully. Just enough. That meant attention had shifted. Directly to her. Not to Daniel. Not to the others. Ava felt that shift land. She did not break eye line. Even though she could not fully see the eyes yet. She held that invisible connection. The second voice spoke again. You moved first. Ava answered without hesitation. Because I understood the system. The silence that followed was heavier than before. The glow dimmed slightly. Not weakening. Focusing. Ava felt it settle around her. Measuring again. Evaluating. The faint sound beneath everything shifted. A new layer added. Softer. Almost like a low tone. Continuous. That meant something had changed in the system. A new phase. The figures ahead adjusted their positions slightly. Not closing in. Not spreading out. Aligning differently. The space was reorganizing itself around them. Ava understood then. This was not just a meeting point. It was a test of interaction. Of response. Of choice. The new figure took one final step forward. Fully into the light now. The outline sharpened completely. Still no clear features. But the posture was unmistakable. Confident. Controlled. Unafraid. Ava held her ground. She did not step back. She did not step forward. She stayed exactly where she was. That balance mattered more than anything now. The voice from ahead spoke one more time. Lower. Final. Only one path continues from here. Ava felt the weight of that immediately. Not threat. Not warning. Truth. She glanced briefly at Daniel. Just for a second. Then back ahead. The space held its breath again. The glow dimmed further. Focusing on a single point between them. Ava followed it with her eyes. A narrow line forming on the floor. Leading forward. One direction. No branches. No alternatives. She took a slow breath. The system was no longer offering choices. It was demanding one. And that was when the figure in front of her shifted slightly, stepping directly into that single path. The figure did not hesitate. It stepped into the narrow line of light as if it had already decided long before arriving. Ava did not move. Not yet. Her eyes followed the shift, watching how the space responded. The glow tightened around the path, focusing, narrowing. Everything else dimmed slightly. That meant commitment. The system had recognized a choice. Ava felt the air change. Denser along the path. Thinner everywhere else. Like the room itself was pulling attention forward. The figure paused mid-step. Not uncertain. Measured. Testing the response. The light beneath its feet pulsed once. Then steadied. Acceptance. Ava noticed the difference immediately. The system was no longer evaluating. It was allowing. Daniel remained beside her. Still. Silent. But closer than before. Not physically. Something else. Presence. Alignment. He was waiting for her to move. Not deciding for her anymore. That shift carried more weight than anything said so far. Ava let her breath settle. Slow. Even. She listened to the space again. The hum had changed. Lower. Continuous. No longer reacting to each movement. It had entered a sustained state. That meant the decision window was closing. She looked at the path. Then at the figure standing in it. Then at the faint outlines of the others. None of them moved. None of them interfered. That was the rule. One path. One choice. Ava understood now. This was not about who arrived first. Or who had more control. It was about who understood the moment when it stopped being a test. She took a small step forward. Not into the path. Just closer. The glow reacted slightly. Not fully. Waiting. She stopped again. Measured. Daniel shifted with her. Perfectly in sync. The system did not react to him separately anymore. It saw them as one pattern now. That was new. Ava felt it. That connection had formed without words. Without agreement. Just through movement. The figure in the path turned its head slightly. Not fully. Just enough to acknowledge her. A silent recognition. Ava held that moment. She did not challenge it. She did not step in yet. Instead, she looked down at the line of light. Studied its rhythm. It was steady. Too steady. That was the detail that did not match everything else. The entire system had been responsive. Adaptive. Dynamic. This line was fixed. Final. Ava's chest tightened slightly. Not fear. Realization. This was not guidance. It was a gate. Once crossed, no adjustment. No correction. Only continuation. She lifted her gaze again. The figure ahead did not move. Waiting. Not forcing. Ava exhaled slowly. Then she stepped forward. 1 foot into the edge of the path. The light reacted instantly. Not pulsing. Locking. The air shifted sharply around her. The space outside the line dimmed further. The boundary became clear. This was the point of no return. Daniel stepped with her. Exactly aligned. The system did not resist him. It expanded slightly. Just enough to include him. Ava felt that change deeply. This was no longer individual input. It was shared. That mattered more than anything. The figure ahead noticed it too. Its posture shifted. Not defensive. Not aggressive. Adjusting. The space had changed again. Ava took another step. Fully into the path now. The glow beneath her feet intensified slightly. Not brighter. More defined. The hum deepened. Stable. Final. She did not look back. She did not hesitate. Daniel remained beside her. The man behind them did not follow. Ava felt that absence immediately. The system had closed behind them. Selective. Precise. That was the rule. Only those aligned could continue. The figures outside the path faded further into shadow. Not gone. But no longer part of the same space. Ava focused forward. The path extended into the dark. Not long. Not endless. Just enough to lead somewhere unseen. The figure ahead took one more step forward. Continuing. Not looking back. Ava matched it. Step for step. The distance between them remained constant. Not closing. Not widening. That balance held. The air grew cooler with each step. The glow along the walls disappeared completely now. Only the line beneath their feet remained. Everything else was dark. Silent. Focused. Ava listened one last time. No extra movement. No parallel path. No second presence. Only them. Only this direction. She felt something settle inside her. Not relief. Not tension. Clarity. The system had stopped testing. It had accepted. That was the final shift. She glanced briefly at Daniel. Just once. He did not look at her. He was looking forward. For the first time, not controlling anything. Just moving with it. That mattered. Ava turned her gaze forward again. The darkness ahead shifted slightly. Not opening. Not revealing. Just enough to suggest space beyond the end of the line. She took one more step. The glow beneath her feet dimmed. Slowly. Not fading. Completing. And that was when the path disappeared behind them without a sound.